Monday, August 22nd, the shocking story of New York's homeless families living in squalid, roach-infested hotels. The threat of another Long Island Railroad strike hangs over 145,000 commuters. And a new warning against a drug pregnant women take for morning sickness.
Great Neck investigators search for the killer of the girl next door. Charges and countercharges in the assassination of an exiled Philippine leader. Terrorist strike in the Bronx. And good news if you want an FHA mortgage.
In action sports, highlights of the Yankee thriller and the Mets sweep.
And for the 28th time this summer, the temperature reached 90 degrees in New York City, but there's a change blowing in the wind, and I'll have details shortly.
This is Channel 11's award-winning Action News with Pat Harper, Steve Bosch, Jerry Gerard, Bob Harris, and the Action News team.
Good evening. Roaches, trash, and malnutrition. That's what New York State officials say they found when they investigated 2 New York City hotels where poor, displaced families are housed.
Pat, more than 5,000 children live in such dwellings throughout this city, and Susan Tick reports the State Health Department has been ordered to provide emergency food and medical care for the families.
I don't even hardly get any sleep from watching to see that no roaches crawl in his ears and his mouth.
It is 6-month-old Wesley that Aldermeese Pratt guards so closely. He's been living with his 2 brothers and mom in 2 tiny rooms at the Martinique Hotel in the Garment District for a month and a half. They were placed here by the city, but like others in the building, didn't need a state report to tell them conditions are far from ideal.
Mice come out, they come all up in the window. I can't even keep his milk up here no more. You know, I have to buy it as I give it to him.
We have to, like, pick out a certain kind of toy to play with because some of our toys have roaches in them, and then when we go to take them out and play with them, they start crawling out.
Right now, there are roughly 5,500 kids living in the 50 hotels where the city puts its homeless. Their families were either priced out or burned out of their apartments. When the state examined 20 families living here and at the Granada Hotel in Brooklyn, they found that 80% of the kids checked were malnourished. The city pays $14 a night for the first person in a room here, $9 for each child. That means if a mother with 2 kids stay here for 1 month, it costs the city $960. That covers an often dilapidated mattress and an assortment of bugs, but no kitchen. Some try keeping food on ice. It doesn't work well. Neither does trying to feed kids on a welfare budget while living in the Garment District.
We try to buy 1 meal from downstairs if we can afford it, and I try to just put it together for all the kids. So whatever is a special in one of the delis, that's the basic thing we can have.
The city has ordered physical exams for all children living in welfare hotels. The mayor says he'll do what he can, and today there were free lunches and new mattresses for some at the Martinique. But the mayor is stressing that the city isn't responsible for these children, and with housing at a premium and the typical stay at the hotel 6 months, he says it's up to the residents to do what they can to maintain their homes. Susan Tick, Channel 11 Action News.
If you're a rider of the nation's largest commuter railroad, Friday morning's rush hour could be a disaster. The Brotherhood of Railway Carmen have put the Long Island Railroad on notice, saying it will walk out at 12:01 Friday morning. And officials for the 1,000-member union say that management has reneged on a contract agreement settled just 19 days ago. The LIRR services over 145,000 commuters daily. And problems continue to plague another commuter mass transit line. For the 13th time this year, a city subway car has derailed. 1 car of a 10-car train being used as a shuttle between Dyckman Street in Manhattan and 242nd Street in the Bronx jumped its track as it was crossing a bridge shortly after noon. No one was injured in the accident caused by a broken wheel, and service continued to operate on the northbound track. Service on that line is now back to normal.
It is the type of murder where no one can understand how or why it happened to the girl next door. A beautiful 21-year-old woman was found dead in her Great Neck home. Tonight, a frantic search for her killer. Here's Christy Whitker.
Great Neck Estates is an exclusive section of Great Neck, Long Island, where residents pay several $100,000 for homes in a square-mile area which has its own police station. The area is patrolled 24 hours a day, and each resident's car must bear a special sticker.
It's a very safe neighborhood, and it's very unusual, and we are all quite scared about it.
That's because at 9 o'clock Saturday night on this peaceful street, 21-year-old Pamela Sharon was found bludgeoned to death in her parents' $300,000 home. Police made their grim discovery on their second trip to the house after 2 phone calls from Pamela's boyfriend, 28-year-old Michael Roklowski of Ridgewood, Queens, who said she hadn't shown up for a 7 o'clock dinner date.
The second call, the police went again. This time it was dark and they were using flashlights in through the windows. And from a side window, they saw the girl's body laying in the hallway. They then broke in, setting off the alarm. They found her nude lady laying in a hallway, apparently going possibly to take a shower.
Police say Pamela died instantly from extensive head injuries inflicted by a blunt instrument which has not been found. They said there were no signs of forced entry, sexual assault, or robbery. The house was wired with a computer key punch alarm system, and police say the fact that it was on indicates the murderer knew how to punch in a special number to reset the alarm when he or she left. Is the boyfriend a prime suspect?
He is a suspect. He's not a prime suspect, but we have many suspects.
Neighbors who said they were too frightened to appear on camera said Pamela was a very trusting girl who had a great many friends. Police don't think there's any connection between the murder and a false alarm at the house around 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. At 5:30 Saturday, Pamela talked to a girlfriend on the phone and said she was planning to meet her boyfriend for dinner. Police say they are questioning and re-questioning Pamela's friends and neighbors, and they say they have a number of leads. They're asking anyone with information on the murder to call 516-535-7788, and all calls will be kept confidential. Pat.
Thank you, Christy. Denials of guilt and the sounds of mourning in the Philippines after the killing of an important opposition leader. That story coming up next.
And also had warnings about a very popular morning sickness drug and the terrorists who hit in the Bronx.
I'll show you why a professional likes Reynolds quality plastic wrap. For starters, it handles like a dream. Next, try this test at home. Reynolds plastic wrap and the leading brand. Reynolds holds its shape better, and that gives Reynolds its super tight cling. Try wrapping both halves of an onion. Set your timer for 5 minutes and see for yourself. For better cling, try Reynolds quality plastic wrap. The plastic wrap professionals use.
Jag the shape. Jag the shape. Jag the shape. Jag Forest. Jag the shape. You want the shape. Jag Forest. Jag.
You've got a lot riding on this letter, and you're going to hand it over to the post office? Federal Express has an alternative.
The mother of slain Philippine leader Benigno Aquino said she wanted the world to see what was done to her son. So she ordered that his battered corpse be displayed for mourners without being touched up by morticians. The opposition leader was shot yesterday as he returned home from 3 years in exile. Aquino supporters say President Marcos was responsible, but Marcos denies the charge and claims the murder was the work of communists. The government says it does not know the identity of the killer, reported to be a man slain by security guards. Aquino had been living in the Boston area with his wife and children. And as she was preparing to return to the Philippines for the funeral, Mrs. Aquino would not say if she blamed the Marcos government. But she did say her husband's assassination was not expected.
Did not think that, you know, he would pass away, that he would be killed. I thought that since he was going there with all good intentions, that maybe the worst they could do was just put him back in the detention center again.
Aquino had planned to oppose President Marcos in upcoming elections. President Reagan is scheduled to visit Mr. Marcos in November. The United States is a long-time supporter of the Marcos government.
Terrorists have struck in the Bronx. 2 bombs have gone off at an Army Reserve Center. The FBI has been called in. And here's Donna Hanover.
The 2 explosions ripped through the center about 10:30. Shortly afterwards, the New York Times says it received a call from an Hispanic woman directing authorities to a mailbox outside the Throgs Neck post office. There, a letter from the United Freedom Front claimed responsibility but made no demands.
The note's a 2-page communique which has a standard revolutionary rhetoric in it, opposing military presence in Honduras, in Nicaragua, El Salvador.
The note also expressed solidarity with grand jury resistors, the Venceremos Brigade, Puerto Rican freedom fighters, and the Brinks defendants. Neighbors of the center on East 238th Street were shocked.
Last night I was sleeping and I heard an explosion. One explosion. I didn't know what it was. I didn't think nothing of it. And then I heard another explosion.
What in the world is going on? How can it possibly? I mean, this is just a, reserve. It's no military encampment or anything. Just a few trucks.
Shocking, frightening. We'd work right here, and I always had a feeling of security from the Army building. Now I feel that maybe we're working next to a danger zone.
One of last night's bombs, a powder type of explosive, blew out windows and did damage to the west wall next to the Metro North Harlem Railroad line.
Windows all the way from the bottom floor to the fourth floor blown out, and the impact area on the left-hand side and the right-hand side.
Was anybody here when it happened?
No, no one's here at night, only during the daytime.
The other device, a gasoline bomb, blew up under a truck out back. The FBI says the United Freedom Front has probably been involved in several other bombings, including ones at a Naval Reserve Center in Queens and the Army Reserve in Uniondale, Long Island in May, at the FBI in Staten Island on January 28th, and at a South African airline office on Long Island and an IBM office in Westchester in December. Donna Hanover, Action News.
A fire in Brooklyn kills 3 small children. That story coming up next on Action News.
A popular drug used by generations of women may be linked to stomach deformities in their children, and there is some good news for some home buyers shopping for mortgages. We'll have details coming up in the business report.
Nice take. Let's have some coffee.
Oh, terrific. But let's have mine. When you love coffee as much as I do, it helps to have your favorite brand around. And mine's High Point decaffeinated. Aren't these sample packets cute? And they're free. It's a special offer from High Point for coffee lovers. With free packets, now's the time to try it. Personally, I like that High Point's decaffeinated. I'm active enough. But tasting's the only way to convince a coffee lover. Flavor this good has to be deep brewed into a coffee.
This is good coffee.
High Point will convince you, too.
That's right. For 4 free sample packets, write High Point, Post Office Box 9469, Clinton, Iowa. You'll also receive a 60-cent coupon towards your next purchase. Try High Point, the coffee lovers decaffeinated.
Come on, write us. You're gonna love it.
I was on the road with 3 more sales calls to make. It sure was a bad time for my muffler to go out. My old muffler was from Midas, so I found a Midas shop in the next town and showed them my guarantee. I'm in kind of a hurry. They honored it with no hassle and got the job done fast. When you count on your car like I do, it's great to be able to count on Midas.
Trust the Midas touch.
I don't care if it is clearance time. In this town, quality sells. No quality, no sale, period. And Ford Quality's made Thunderbird and Tempo 2 of our best-selling cars. One look at Thunderbird and you'll know why sales are up 325%. And Tempo, out to become our next best-selling car to escort, the best-selling car in the world. Right now is the best time to get Ford's bestsellers. And I'm talking about the best cars and trucks built in America. Get a bestseller at your local Ford dealer, okay?
3 young children were killed in the middle of the night when an electrical fire swept through their Bushwick, Brooklyn apartment. The children's mother, Anna Acosta, was awakened by the smell of smoke. She and her husband tried in vain to save their 2-year-old daughter, their 4- and 6-year-old sons. They were driven back by the flames and the smoke. When firefighters pulled the youngsters from the inferno, they were already dead. The fire department says 3 of its men received minor injuries, and the fire apparently started in an electrical wiring system in the ceiling. Officials also said the children might have been saved. The building had been equipped with smoke detectors.
Now here's tonight's business report. Wall Street was jumping today following Friday's report that the nation's money supply had fallen $500 million. Analysis had actually expected a rise. Investors saw the decline as a forerunner to a retreat in interest rates and sent the stock market higher. The Dow Industrials gained nearly 9 points. The average share was up 4 cents, and winners held an 8-7 edge over losers. The Amex was also up a fraction. And there's good news for would-be home buyers. Beginning tomorrow, federally backed FHA and VA mortgages are going to be 1/2 point cheaper. That's down from 13.5%. American Motors says it spent $890 million on development over the last 3 years. Well, today the fruits of those labors were put on display, including one of 2 new Jeeps that AMC calls a quantum leap forward in product design. The new Jeep Cherokee weighs 1,000 pounds less than last year's model, is more compact, and the 4-cylinder engine gets up to 24 miles per gallon in the city. It has a base sticker price of about $10,000. Bendectin is the only drug approved for expectant mothers with morning sickness, but the Food and Drug Administration is warning doctors that 2 recent studies have linked the drug with a rare stomach disorder in babies, which can cause death if left untreated. Bendectin is no longer manufactured, but pharmacies may still have several months' supply remaining on their shelves. It is believed to be the first lawsuit in connection with the garment center blackout 2 weeks ago. A dress manufacturer shut down by the blackout is suing Con Ed for $10 million and notified the city it would also be sued. Hundreds of businesses were closed for 3 days by the August 10th power failure, which stemmed from a fire in a Con Ed power substation that had been flooded by water from a broken city water main. Con Ed has denied liability.
1968, BMW introduces a car built on the belief that performance is what makes a sports sedan worth the money. 1977, BMW introduces a car built on the belief that performance is what makes a sports sedan worth the money. 1983, BMW introduces
At BMW, we do not annually reinvent the automobile. We just periodically refine it. Presenting the 318i.
The amount of money you have to invest has little to do with the questions you wish to ask. And the more serious you are as an investor, the more questions you have to ask, which is why it's critical you have someone you can talk with. As respected advisors to the serious investor, we at Shearson American Express recommend you invest your time before you invest your money. Shearson American Express and the serious investor. Minds over money.
Some things just come and go, like the DeSoto, the hula hoop, and remember, the beehive hairdo? But Scott Tissue has lasted for years with more sheets to save you money. Look, while the other leading brand quits, Scott Tissue keeps on giving you 1,000 sheets. So Scott Tissue lasts longer and saves you money.
Scott Tissue with 1,000 sheets.
It's been around a long time.
Because it lasts a long time.
And now these headlines in the news. Fighting has resumed in Lebanon as Syrian forces and Druze Muslim militiamen bombarded Christian sectors of Beirut and the area around the airport. At least 8 people were killed, 30 others injured. A water main break was responsible for leaving for 5,500 people without power in Boston overnight. Extra police guarded against possible looters. Electricity was restored this afternoon. And Barbara Honegger has quit her job in the Justice Department. Yesterday, Ms. Honegger accused President Reagan of breaking his promise to end discrimination against women in federal laws and regulations. Pat.
It's really exciting to see the Yankees win for a change. 3 in a row, but was it last night's game that you consider the big thriller?
Afternoon, yeah, well, it was terrific. It's the second time this year that a Yankee has come through with 2 out in the 9th inning with the tying and winning runs on base. Winfield did it in Texas. Ken Griffey did it yesterday. It was a terrific game. Jeff Zahn looked like he had a shutout when Randolph hit a ground ball with 2 out in the 9th. But watch the ball. It takes a crazy skip as it approaches Bobby Grich. Campaneris has ideas of scoring, but holds up. So it's 2nd and 3rd. That brings up Griffey with 2 out, and it's all here.
And that is a base hit. It's over. Campaneris scores. Randolph scores, and the Yankees win it by a score of 2-1.
With about 40 games left in the season, they're all crucial. 2.5 games out now. The Yankees play Oakland tonight. We'll have highlights at 10 o'clock. In San Francisco, the Mets swept the Giants at Candlestick for the first time in 11 years. George Foster, watch this smooth swing. Is he in a groove right now? Another home run with 1 on. Oquendo homer, but then this was the big hit. Rusty Staub, another pinch hit. A double to right center that scored 2. He has 18 runs batted in as a pinch hitter this year. Giants came up with 3 in the 9th. And Jesse Orozco's got 3-2 on the hitter with a tying run at first base. Now, this is a gutsy call. The batter is thinking fastball. He gives him the curve. That's it. Game's over. Jesse does it again. In Chicago, the Cubs have fired their manager, Lee Elia. They do this every August 22nd. It's like Bastille Day in Chicago. His replacement is Charlie Fox, who probably took the job because he wanted to spend less time with his family. Following the announcement, the Cubs naturally win for their new manager, 2-0 behind Knowles and Smith. Meanwhile, Martina marches on. She beat Chrissy for the 4th straight time. Watch this point. Martina at the top of your screen. Chrissy does everything right and loses.
She'll get it.
Martina won the 3rd set 6-1. This year, she has had 60 matches and won 59. Is she slipping? At Saratoga this afternoon, the double was B&I, $75. The triple I, J&B, $970.80. And Buzz Ma Bell won the feature at 2-1. That's the story in sports. Here's Tim.
Thanks, Jared. Now it's time for today's daily drawing in the New York State Lottery. We will switch live to Albany and Sherry Harrington.
Thank you, Tim, and good evening. For the New York State Lottery, it's a daily numbers drawing and win 4 for today, Monday, August 22nd, 1983. In each of these 7 machines, there are 10 balls numbered 0 through 9. Mixing under the observation of an independent auditor from Deloitte, Haskins & Sells. And now for the daily number, the first ball up is 0. The first number is 0. The next number is 3. And the last number is 5. Makes the daily number 035. Yesterday's daily number will pay out over $283,000, which represents more than 73% of yesterday's sales. And now for win 4. This number is 2. The next number is 7. Next. 7. And the last number is 2. Makes win 4 for today, 2772. Congratulations to all you winners.
Remember, in New York City, Hotel Seville.
Your friendly home away from home. Our friendly home away from home.
I'm Richard Foreman, General Manager of the Seville Hotel. Advertising established the Seville Hotel as a major force in the New York market. Our agency for 10 years has been Continental Advertising. If you want results, contact Continental Advertising at 725-9600.
Make friends with the future at Computerland.
At Computerland, we make it our business to help you with your business. So we offer simple, cost-effective leasing. This IBM business system can be working for you for $99 a month.
Make friends with the future at Computerland.
Come in and ask for the leasing plan from Computerland. Only at Carl Place, Comac, Eatontown, Little Neck, Midtown Manhattan, Morristown, Paramus, Somerville, Wall Street.
I've spent most of my life in search of nature. But trying to understand myself left a lot of questions. I found the answers in a book called Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. It talks about the reactive mind where anger, fear, frustration are stored. It helped me start really living. After all, life's an adventure. Isn't it time you explored a new frontier?
Read Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. The adventure is waiting for you wherever paperbacks are sold.
What does it take to excel?
You have my word. You'll get it tomorrow.
It takes reliability, speed, economy. It takes express mail next day service from the post office. Our 2-pound pack is just $9.35. Most others charge about twice that. We deliver over 90,000 packages on time every day.
You're a man of your word. I just got it.
Express mail service. We deliver excellence for less.
Former First Lady Pat Nixon is recovering nicely following a mild stroke. The 71-year-old Mrs. Nixon has returned to her Saddle River, New Jersey home after spending 5 days at a New York hospital. Her doctors say her stroke did not result in any paralysis or slurring of speech. In 1976, Mrs. Nixon suffered a severe stroke that did leave her partially paralyzed and with speech difficulties for some time.
And now with more on the attack of the killer tomato, here's Bob.
It looks that way. These are from the garden of our own ENG camera person, Chris Moriello. A 2-pound tomato grown in Wayne, New Jersey, just to show you how wonderful the Garden State is. These beautiful hot peppers.
Do you know how to plant peppers?
No.
You have to plant them so that when they grow, they're in a ring. They touch each other because they need companionship to grow well.
Is that right?
It's
companionship.
True. Yeah.
Perhaps that's why these are so beautiful. You learn something every day and every night, actually.
Who gets a tomato?
I'm going to leave these here while I discuss the weather,
Good.
which incidentally ties right into the forecast because chilly tonight and hot tamale.
Oh,
I knew
Robert,
I should have passed on that. Anyway,
justice.
right now, 87 degrees in Midtown. I should have left it out. I knew it. Anyway, the humidity at 57%. The winds are south at 17. The barometer rising at 29.80. The pollen count 27. It's cloudy, and I'm not planning to be Willard Scott. Now, let's move right along to the national weather map, which shows the latest satellite depiction. Showers in the Midwest, showers down to the south, and also right in our backyard tonight, just to the north and south of our region. But the showers are probably going to miss the city, it would seem, as they're being broken up by the heat shield that's over the city. Now, taking a look at our skies for tomorrow, I think you're going to find them very attractive. A few dark clouds early in the morning, and then a nice clearing trend in the afternoon with fair weather cumulus and blue skies. How come blue skies, you say, huh? All right, we have another refreshing air mass. Remember what happened Saturday and Sunday? It was so hot Saturday, and it got so cool and delightful on Sunday. Another dome of Canadian air, all set to move in through the back door, and will set us up for beautiful weather right smack dab in the middle of the week. Our forecast, overnight, the possibility of a thunder shower north and south of the city. Otherwise, general clearing after midnight, breezy and comfortably cooler, lows in the 60s by morning. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, breezy and warm, less humid. Tomorrow's high 82 to 87. We hit 90 today. The sunburn index tomorrow, 7 on a scale of 0 to 10. Winds refreshingly out of the northwest at 10 to 22 knots. The wave height's 2 to 4 feet. And the air quality tomorrow will be good, joggers. For Wednesday and Thursday, you're going to love it. Considerable sunshine, comfortably warm, highs in the upper 80s, and then the possibility of some showers at the end of the week with the arrival of another frontal system, the high 82 to 87. Nice day coming up tomorrow. Nice on Wednesday also. Tim?
Thanks, Bob. That's our 7:30 Action News. I'm Tim Malloy.
And I'm Pat Harper. We'll be back at 10 with Independent Network News. Until then, have a really nice evening.
WPIX operates a news bureau in New Jersey at 223 Montross Avenue, Rutherford, New Jersey. The telephone number is area code 201-933-6881.
11 alive.
We never cease to be amazed at the diplomats' ability to find a tiny island of agreement in a sea of disagreement. They did it again in Madrid last month when the United States and the Soviet Union reached agreement on human rights after a 2-year deadlock. One might ask how it's possible to agree on human rights with a nation that invaded Afghanistan, or a nation that was responsible for imposing martial law in Poland, or with a nation that has tens of thousands of prisoners in Siberian work camps whose only known offense was to disagree with their governments. Bear in mind that the 1975 Helsinki Accords declared that all people have a fundamental right to economic and social justice, as well as freedom of thought, conscience, religion, or belief. Well, the answer lies in what you're willing to overlook. In this case, our negotiators were willing to overlook all of the aforementioned and to ignore such questions as the right to strike, the jamming of international radio broadcasts, and the freedom of journalists to move about. The Reagan administration's argument is that the law's new agreements set specific standards for judging Soviet compliance in 1986 when the issue will come up for review. Well, maybe so. But the management of WPIX cannot help but be a little disappointed at the agreement because it seems to signal that Soviet behavior since the signing of the 1975 Accords has been acceptable. Afghanistan, Poland, Siberia, in our book, that's not acceptable. What's your opinion? We'd like to know.